Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Natalie Boyum, and I'm the president and founder of the Defeating Epilepsy Foundation. We are a 501c3 located in Southern California, and our mission is to provide the advocacy and educational resources needed to the epilepsy community and our society. Today, our guest is Gavin Hogarth. Gavin is an author of 3 books about epilepsy, which are all available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Thank you, Gavin, for joining me today.
Thank you very much.
Epilepsy carries a huge stigma, which can cause many challenges for someone battling epilepsy. When living with epilepsy, we must all find ways to deal with the symptoms and challenges that come with it. Educating others about epilepsy and sharing our life experiences is one way to help get the word out and reduce the stigma associated with epilepsy. Gavin, in your book, Epilepsy, If You Can't Do It Right, Just Do It Properly, I read the beginning of how you found out you had epilepsy and the challenges you faced. What was it like as a teenager to be diagnosed with epilepsy?
Frightening at best. At first, at the age of 15, I'd never heard anything about epilepsy. I didn't know what it was, what to do about it, nothing. So it took me a long time to get together of what was happening and how I could handle it.
No, I can only imagine. I mean, my own experience, I developed epilepsy at 2 due to a traumatic brain injury. So I really don't remember anything but my life having epilepsy. So to go from being part of society, feeling able-bodied and not knowing anything, to all of a sudden now you're being faced with this neurological disorder that you really don't know what it is or how to go about it. It sounds like it was extremely frightening.
Definitely, yes.
Yes. So in your second book, Epilepsy, It's a Killer, But So What? You talked about an injury you sustained while falling. Many people with epilepsy have sustained bad injuries when having a seizure. What would you tell others so they can understand the risk and importance of keeping someone safe while having a seizure?
Well, in order to keep somebody safe, I highly recommend putting something underneath their head to stop them from banging their head. Avoid putting anything at all in their mouth, especially a finger or something like that. And just when they start coming around, talk to them softly and reassure them that they're okay and you're going to be there for them and look after them. Because some people will just look at it and think, well, it's your problem, and just walk on by. And I don't think that's acceptable at all. More people need to be educated about epilepsy. That's the way I see it anyway.
Oh, I agree with you 100%, because sadly, I've heard too many stories of people having seizures in public and others not stopping to help, which I think is very, very cold-hearted, because taking that moment to stop can save somebody's life. And I think, at least here in the US, I can say we are still struggling to get across to the importance of seizure first aid to schools, to employers, to really understand what needs to be done. And one thing I've done with my YouTube channel, any videos I made about different seizures, I talk about how to administer first aid in that situation, because so many people, when they think of seizure first aid, they think of a tonic-clonic seizure. Whereas, example, I have complex partials. So I would come off as being conscious, and I would be acting and walking and mumbling, but I wasn't conscious. I was blacked out. And explaining to people the importance of situations like that, it's really important to keep people safe. And if anyone like medics or police are called, to be able to explain to them what's going on. I've heard sadly, too many stories of people getting arrested while having a complex partial because the police thought they were conscious and were refusing to comply with them.
Or on drugs at the same time, I've been accused of myself.
Oh, wow.
Because that way it also comes, well, you've done it to yourself, it's your fault. I've had that many times.
You've had people tell you that you triggered your own seizures, it was your own fault?
Well, they didn't recognize it was a seizure and just naturally assumed that you were either drunk or on drugs.
Oh, okay, I see. I had that happen to me too with my last complex partial. I was taken to the ER from the college I was at, the university I was attending, and they thought I was under the influence of drugs, even though I had my medic bracelet on. The nurse in the ER didn't even recognize that I had epilepsy.
Yeah, I carry an ICE card, it's called, in case of emergency.
Mhm.
And that's got all my contact details on the back of it, of who to get in touch with.
No, that's a very good idea to have with your ID. That is, I've started wearing a medic bracelet again, and at times I'll be the first to admit, at times I don't want to, and that ties back to when I was in the ER that time. The nurse, accused me of being high, got angry that I couldn't comply and answer her questions, and she hurt me. She got too rough with me in the ER and hurt me. And I threw my medic bracelet away at that time. I was so sick of feeling stigmatized. And it took a long time. I finally decided to start wearing a medic bracelet again because both my sons have hemophilia A, which is a bleeding disorder. And my sons have to wear their tags so that if something happens, the medics know what to do. And I thought, if I'm going to hold my sons to this responsibility, it's pretty hypocritical of me not to wear something if I'm going to make them wear something.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
So no, I mean, I think it's excellent. I think anyone who's battling epilepsy, it's important to have a medic bracelet or a seizure action plan and something on you so that, if you do end up needing attention, that you can, the information is there for any EMTs or ER, our physicians or nurses.
Well, once again, that took me a while to find that information. It was my GP that recommended me to look on Amazon for the the ice packs, and it comes with key rings for your keys and things
Oh,
of that
wow.
nature. So it's just got a warning. I carry an ice card in my wallet or something like that, it says. And of course, I have one on my key ring and one on my back of my mobile phone, little sticker that says it is. Then I've called me proper card in my wallet.
Oh, that's very good. I didn't know you can get the ice cards on Amazon. I know was it one of the epilepsy advocates I work with, he's made up one to show people how to fill them out on his website and what to do and educating people to make sure that they know about it. But that's good to know that if people need the resources, they are available.
Yeah, well, if you go onto Amazon and just type in ice cards, some of them are for autism and other things, and there's some that you can actually type out and fill in yourself.
Oh,
For
nice.
anything, because I've got mines for me epilepsy and me diabetes as well.
Oh, wow. So you're dealing with a lot.
I've also got angina, but he's not complain about that as well. You might as well just get on with it. It's a
Oh,
good laugh at the end of the day.
I'm with you on that. I battle multiple conditions. Epilepsy is my primary one, but I also have PTSD, hemophilia, and asthma. And I just find that the more I dwell on them, the more I let them take over me. So the best thing
Yeah,
to do is just keep living life.
that's
I,
it.
I
Yes.
I can't sit and feel sorry for myself or obsessed with it. I just got to keep
Well,
going
that'll
with the
be,
flow.
yeah. Otherwise, you just get too much depressed. That's what started me off writing. It took me a while, but I just couldn't stop then because all I was doing was just writing about me and my life in order to help other people. And I just thought that was the best way to go.
Oh, absolutely. No, I find that when we all have to face a challenge, the best thing to do is how can we take that, what is a challenge, but use it to our best potential, make something productive of it. So I think in your writings and what you're doing to educate people is an excellent way to do it.
That's it. Yeah. I also started doing radio interviews. And on my website for my books, there's 3 web radio interviews, and I've also done 2 radio interviews with Kate Delaney from American Tonight.
Mhm.
So
That's
I'm
great.
quite pleased with all of them, because that way I'm reaching out even more.
Oh no, that is awesome. I've been so far on a few podcasts, and I'm telling you, I find it's helping to lay the foundation to get the information out about us, and to just show the importance of how I feel the only way we really are going to remove the stigma with epilepsy, it can't be just a couple of people coming together and saying something. As a community, we just all have to come together
That's it,
and
yeah,
start making that journey, because one or two people, as much as we do, can only do so much. It's going to take a community effort for us to start seeing any level of change.
without a doubt, yes. I mean, normal people wouldn't look it up on Google, and I didn't like what I saw when I looked it up on Google. I don't know anybody, I've never seen epilepsy before, but when I looked it up on Google, I didn't like what I saw.
Yeah. No, it's scary. If you don't understand what it is, it comes off as scary,
Definitely,
because I found because of epilepsy being so complex, I found it, I don't want to say disorganized, but overwhelming. If I was, as an adult, just diagnosed and had to find information, I'd be going, oh my goodness, where am I even to start?
that's it.
And I think that's where it would become so scary. It's just because of how many different types of epilepsy, different types of seizures, all these medications, each case is its own complex situation. It's, unless you really have a good doctor or strong support system, it really can get a hold of you really, really quickly, and not in a good way.
Definitely.
Yes. So in your third book, Epilepsy, Live or Die, you talk about the challenges of being on many medications. What would you say to someone who does not have epilepsy about the challenges of being on medications?
Well, of course, for somebody who doesn't have epilepsy, whatever their medications they are taking, and if it's multiple medications as well, there's also going to be side effects from, or might be side effects from certain medications you're taking. I have a lot of side effects with my medication. So depending on what they're taking the medication for, there could be a lot of side effects with the medication that they're taking it for.
Yeah, and I find at least in my personal experience, every time they've changed my medicine because of the side effects, it's almost like I develop a little bit of a new personality. And that, I think that's one of the reasons now that the medicine I've been on for so long has worked. I really don't want to mess with it, because at least I know now, I feel like I have a better understanding of myself, whereas a child being bounced on and off of different medications, some of them, I had horrific real bad suicidal tendencies on Depakote, or I had weight gain, or with what was it, felbibate. I was on felbitol for a while, and that almost killed me because it cut my white blood cell production in half. I mean, my white blood cells were averaging about 2.4. I mean, I was pretty much near HIV levels. It was that bad. I had a sinus infection developed, didn't even realize it had no signs or symptoms, and put me into status twice within 36 hours.
It's terrible, though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't realize, when they think of epilepsy, they think, oh, just seizures. And once you're on medicine, that solves the problem. And a lot of people don't realize that, no, that it's like putting a Band-Aid on the situation. But if you're not careful and you don't know how to deal with the side effects and deal with the emotional, mental aspects of things, how easily that bandage can get ripped off
Well,
and
that's
trouble
it.
can
I was
start.
told by my doctor in my hospital that the reason they changed me medication all the time, or regularly, let's say, is because some tablets, they will work to a certain point, and then your body finds a way around them, and everything
Yes.
starts up again then.
No, oh no, that is the truth. And I mean, That's why I had that happen to me on phenobarbital, and I forget what other
Oh,
one.
I'm in that one.
Yeah, that one just stopped totally working for me after 10 years. And even now, I still get nervous I mean, I'm not old, but I'm not young anymore. I'm at the point where I'm almost getting the point where I can't have kids anymore. I'm in that change of life, and with hormones can trigger seizures. And I wonder, as I start heading towards things like menopause, am I at risk for my medicine stop working? So I think people don't realize, they think once we take medicine, the problem's solved. But this is truly a life journey. I mean, at any time, something could just switch in our bodies where our bodies go, no, not accepting this doesn't work anymore. And we're back to square one again.
Without a doubt, yes.
And I think I find that, the specialists really have a good grasp of that. Where my frustrations have been is what would be my primary care doctor, your general practitioner. I find some doctors, because they really haven't been trained in that area. So trying to educate them about the impact of taking medication can be very challenging.
Oh, well, my doctor in the hospital has put a red flag on my medication list. So my GP can't change any of my medication at all without his personal say so.
Oh, awesome. No, I'm glad that your specialist is looking out for you like that. I mean, I've had my general doctor, he's really good about it. And, whatever my neurologist says, he respects and everything. The only time I ever had something happen, and I actually left the doctor when I first moved out here and I found a general practitioner, I took my medicine information in, and the nurse was upset that I didn't bring the bottles in. And I'm like, well, I didn't realize she needed to see the bottles, but here's my medical history. I'm like, why would she want to see the bottles? And then she said to me, well, what if she needs to make changes? And I said, she's not making changes. That's between the neurologist and I. And she was taken aback. And that to me was such a red flag.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Is that the clock over there right now, or?
No, it's one of those ring front doorbells. Someone's just coming in.
Oh, okay.
And my dog doesn't like it either. I'm sorry.
That's okay. He's just looking out for you. But no, I think you bring up very good points about it being so important to not just keep an eye on your meds, but to also have good communication between your team, so everybody understands what you need.
That's it, yes.
But most definitely. But in your work, you use humor to share your story. I find this interesting because so many people get angry or emotional when explaining their experiences with epilepsy. How has writing and humor helped share your story?
Well, that's quite easy, to be honest. When I first started getting the epilepsy at the age of 15, I'd go out and have a seizure and people were laughing at you on the floor. So I become very inclusive and just stayed in at that point for years and just sat there on the couch watching the telly. And basically that was my life. And one day I thought, it's not my fault, it's their fault for not understanding. So then I got up and went back out again. And then another day I thought, well, it's definitely not my fault. So you might as well just enjoy your epilepsy. You haven't made or given yourself epilepsy. So that's what I've done. I just enjoy it like it's a game. I look in the mirror every time I have an injury and think, oh, yes, that's definitely better than the last one.
Oh, gee.
I take photographs of every single injury I sustain. I moved to a bungalow because my last house had stairs, and the amount of times I had to fit and fell down those stairs was unbelievable. But of course, the first day we moved into this bungalow, I had a seizure, a little drop attack it was, that's all, and collapsed to the floor, and you heard,
Oh no.
and I got up, put everything, all the boxes away, and I was walking around for 4 days. And all of a sudden, I looked at my ankle on the 4th day, and my foot was like a balloon,
Oh my gosh.
all black and blue.
Oh
And
my
I had to have
goodness.
it was fractured, and I had to have a screw put into my foot.
Oh, wow.
And I still had to walk into A&E on that foot as well. It didn't hurt at all because of the amount of medication I was on.
Oh my goodness. I've had my
But,
share of injuries, but nothing that bad. Oh my goodness.
but that's what I'm pleased to say. In each and every one of those books, you can see photos of the actual bodily injuries in order to help people understand and see just what it is they're reading about.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be, oh, look at me. It's like to say, this could be you
Oh
and
yeah.
how you could handle it.
No, it's the truth. And I mean, now that I'm getting older, I haven't been, I haven't lost conscious in years, thank goodness. I've been having, since having COVID, I've been having simple partials here and there, and the doctor is really helping me. I'm getting a lot better. But I've even noticed as I've gotten older, my gait is off and my cognitive impairment has increased. And even doing things at one point were simple for me, and unfortunately it's a joy of getting old, it becomes a little more challenging. And it can hit us at any time, the roller coasters of going up and down with injuries. Most of my injuries were in my 20s, but I know even now I'm still at risk for going back to that, I guess you could say, path again.
Yeah. There was once I really wanted to do tandem skydiving,
Oh
but
wow.
of course I sent in and asked them, and I thought, you might as well be honest and just tell them straight what your medical conditions are. And I didn't know there was a medical list at the bottom, and almost everything I suffer from was on the bottom of that list.
Oh no.
So they sent me the letter out anyway, and he said, we're going to need your doctor to sign that. I sent it to my GP and my doctor in the hospital, and he said, no, because you haven't been fit free for 3 years. That's what they want from you, so you
Yeah.
can't do it.
Oh.
I'm really looking forward to that, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
better to be safe than sorry.
Oh, absolutely. See, I have found what the best thing to do when I've been told no about something, I really look back and I try to get a good look at, is it them having bias, or is it really something I shouldn't do? And simple things in life where it's been more society trying to discriminate against me, such as a lot of people discouraged me from going on for higher education, stuff like that. I knew, okay, it's just them. But in situations like that, we do have to realize there are some things that it's best we just don't do them. I've joked with people when talking to entrepreneurs and trying to convince them that there are jobs for people with epilepsy, and that the discrimination in the workforce, we need to stop that, because it doesn't just hurt people with epilepsy, but it hurts others. And I'll say, yes, please don't hire me as an airline pilot. You don't want me flying you from one spot to another. But at the same time, sitting here at a desk doing administrative work, doing managerial work, that's fine for me to do. And if they're uncomfortable with me being, in an office, well, then that's the joy of having Zoom now, working from home and having meetings virtually.
Yes.
So I feel in time it's just going to take time for the main thing is education, and that's why I made that part of my mission. I just feel there isn't enough education out there, or enough people who are pushing the education at the levels we need to.
Yes, definitely.
Do you feel that society truly understands the frustrations that people with epilepsy face on a daily basis?
Well, no, definitely not at all. People from society that don't have epilepsy don't have a clue what epilepsy is, how to help, and basically they're more than happy in not knowing. And
Yeah.
in their life, oh, I don't know what that is. I'll just walk on by. You see somebody in the street have a heart attack, how many people can know what to do?
Oh, yeah.
I know how to help somebody with a heart attack. I know how to help people with epilepsy now, but nobody else will come to an epileptic assistance unless they're medically trained
Yeah.
and they know what it is and how to help.
No, it's the truth, and it's sad. It really is sad. And I find that there's so many factors that play into it. A lot of it is lack of education and fear. And then I found even with people who are educated, because of the history of the stigma, they don't want to know about it or be. I'll give you an example. When I met my husband and we became best of friends, my in-laws were really happy that we had found each other. But after we got married and my husband told my mother-in-law and father-in-law that I had epilepsy, my in-laws were actually quite upset that he went through and asked me to marry him. They were really upset that their son would pick a sick woman to be his wife.
Well, most of the times I've heard people describe epilepsy as epilepsy. It's a disease. It's
Yeah.
not a disease. It's not like COVID. I can't touch somebody and give them epilepsy. It's a neurological condition, yet people are putting it as stigma as it's a disease.
Yeah. And no, that is something. Like when I had not the website I have now, but the first website I built, I hired someone to help me build the SEO and manage it. And one of them went in and changed the wording on my thing to that it was a neurological disease. And I went back and changed it back and told him, don't put the word disease on my website. It's not a disease. It's a disorder.
Well,
And
that's a review I got from one of my books. The person that made the review, that's exactly what they put. Epilepsy, it's a disease.
oh, wow.
I've never liked that ever since.
No, I don't blame you. No, I find that not enough people understand it. And even now, as I've been advocating out here in my local community where I live in Southern California, a lot of the epilepsy support, the funding and everything is in Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Diego. But I'm on the beginning of what's called San Bernardino County, the beginning of what's known as the Inland Empire. So once you get into that area, you're heading towards the desert. And the further east you go, the higher level of poverty you have, the lack of more lack of resources. And I find that there's a lot of people out here who need help, who just can't get the help. And I'm trying to do what I can to build the resources to get them the help they need. But it's been the biggest challenges trying to bring together a community that for so many years has been forgotten. And then when someone says there are resources, they want help, but you can also see that they're kind of keeping a step back and wanting to, I guess, say, earn the trust again to be able to help them. And I find
Definitely, yeah.
that's been a big problem with the epilepsy community. A lot of the larger organizations, because they're so invested in research, which we do need research, we do need funding. That there's no getting around that. We need that. But I think they fail to realize that, well, in order to be able to do that research, you have to work with the community. If you're going to have to work with the community, you have to help them find the resources they need so we can work together.
Yes. There was one time when I was over in Florida and I had a seizure and unfortunately smacked the top of my head on the kitchen counter.
Oh,
And I was just dazed for just over a day. And my mum rung me hospital this end when it was like, 5 hours later, and told the doctor, and he said, whatever you do, don't ring the hospital, don't ring for an ambulance, otherwise you'll be charged for absolutely everything. The
oh
ambulance
yeah.
coming, Any medication you take for the doctors, go to the airport and book an emergency flight home. And I'll make sure there's an ambulance at the airport waiting for you. And
Oh
that's
my
exactly what
gosh.
happened. Of course, it was a 9-hour flight, but
Oh my
I was
gosh.
completely unconscious.
No, that's the sad thing about the American healthcare system is we are on our healthcare system is based on the free market. We do have assistance for people through the government for healthcare, but you have to be living in poverty or completely disabled to receive Medicaid or Medi-Cal. You're already pretty much one step from homelessness. It's that bad. And the rest of us, we have to pay premiums for what's called an HMO or PPO plan. And if you don't have coverage, they will bill you. And this isn't just a little couple dollars here or
Oh,
there.
no, it's thousands,
It's
yes.
thousands. I mean, in 2018, my son had a very serious knee bleed to the point where the pressure went up and pinched his sciatica and he couldn't walk. And I took him to the ER and they did the CAT scan to confirm his knee bleed, and they were going to transfer him by ambulance up to Los Angeles to the Children's Hospital. And just to go, I think it was 20 something miles in the middle of the night, it was over $2,000. And of the $2,000, they billed me, it would have originally been 1,800. They billed me $200 for just being taken up there at 4. They were supposed to get at the hospital at 1 for him. They didn't show up till after 4 in the morning, and we got there about 5:30ish. He had to go back ways because of the morning traffic. $200 just because of the time of night. I won't lie, when I got the bill, I mean, luckily I paid $100 copay under my insurance, but they made a mistake and tried to bill me for all of it. And I called back when I asked them about that $200 charge. I won't lie, I got sarcastic. I'm like, oh, what is it? Coming at 4 o'clock in the morning, is there VIP service for my son? I'm like, do you think it was fun being in the ER all night? I won't lie, I was really upset by it. But they do things like that to people. You pay
Without a doubt, yes.
you pay for, depending on the time of the day, they can charge more. You pay for the gas, you pay for the pretty much anything that you touch or they can find a way to on there, they'll bill it. That's why over the years when I've seen I've met a number of people from the United Kingdom and said I wasn't doing well, so I called the ambulance. A couple of days later, the ambulance came back for me. Until I really understood more of what the NHS system was about, I thought, oh my gosh, I'd be bankrupt by the time all this began. It just scared me every time I heard how many ambulances came. And I was like, and then, I was, oh no, it's covered in our healthcare. I was like, wow.
You're lucky here at the moment if you can actually
Yeah.
get an ambulance with COVID at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Because
It's gotten that bad.
the ambulance takes people to A&E, but then there's the wait in A&E because the ambulance people have to actually sign off and tell the hospital what's wrong with the person. So if there's a backup, which there normally is, all the ambulances are out in the car park
Oh,
and can't be
wow.
sent out.
Oh my
But,
goodness. That sounds like a mess.
but at least, as you say, we're not paying the price that you would have to pay.
No, I find it so scary where our healthcare system is heading, not just here, but even more and more on a global level. Just seeing
Definitely.
we're going backwards, which we shouldn't have to in this day and age. We should be doing so much better than what we are.
Well, it seems like we're going more and more downhill, and how hard is it to go back up the hill afterwards?
Absolutely. And that's a challenge there. In fact, I have do you know Dr. Ian Bone? He's a retired neurologist in Scotland. He's been on our YouTube channel a few times.
No, I don't, I'm afraid.
Okay. No, I'm going to be doing I'm hoping in December and then posting it after the new year, an interview with Dr. Bone talking about that, about the challenges, we've had here in America with our healthcare system and the costs, but he's also been talking about the frustrations of what they're seeing more and more in the United Kingdom. And that was one thing him and I were talking about one day was the situation with COVID, how hard it is to get care now, or even just to see the doctor. And he said, more and more people are having to have virtual appointments. It's getting to the point where even just trying to get to the doctor's office can be a challenge.
You can't get to the doctor's office over here at the moment.
Wow.
You can be taking weeks, if you're lucky, to get a doctor's appointment through your GP. You can't go to hospital because they don't want you walking in the front door.
Oh, wow. No, I believe it, and that's a scary thing. I mean, I go to the hospital next week in the EMU for a couple days for EEG observation, but I have to Saturday go for what is it, COVID testing before they'll approve me to walk in the hospital. Even though
Yes.
I've had both my shots and my booster, and they're
And I've
happy
had
with all
both
that, but
as well, yeah.
they're still not messing around with it. Even though I've had all that, they're like, nope. Saturday, go. They have think like a little clinic center by one of the community, what is it? One of the parking ramps. They turned one of the parking
Walking
ramps
centre.
into a testing center at the University of Southern California. Their hospital, Keck Medical. So I have to go up to the testing site and get tested Saturday, and then Monday morning they approved me to be admitted. But they did the same thing for my son at Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. He had his port taken out in August, and we had to drive up, I think it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday, and he was admitted Friday. And it was a simple outpatient procedure. It took about an hour for them to remove everything, and then they just kept him for another hour to observe to make sure the anesthesia came off and he was okay. But oh yeah, they had to take real intense precautions with going in and out of the hospital because of so many cases at the Children's Hospital where my son's department is there in hematology oncology, but a lot of the kids who are going in there, they have leukemia, or one of the kids who was in the pre-op room with my son, they were talking back and forth. She was there for open heart surgery. So, there were it's such a risky situation right now. I don't think people realize how risky it is.
Definitely not, no.
No. Are you planning on writing any books in the future?
I don't know. Quite possibly, but not at the present time. But you never know, it might pick up again.
No, but
I'd like to write another one.
I've looked at the few that you did have. I've looked at them on Amazon, and I think it's really interesting how much information you get, but also sharing your own personal story, like you said, and sharing the pictures of your injuries for people to see that this is reality to you. Because I mean, myself as an advocate, I've talked about my challenges in life. I've talked about, not a lot of times about the injuries I've sustained, more the challenges I faced in society, having to hide things to keep a job, having to try to prove up and beyond that I'm capable of getting higher education, establishing a career, things like that. But I never really shared a lot of the pictures. In fact, I don't even know if I'll be honest, I don't even know if I really took pictures when I was younger of my injuries. I mean, the first injury I had a drop seizure as a toddler at daycare. And when I fell face first into the floor, and my baby tooth went up and split my gums open and damaged the one tooth here that I have. And that caused a lot of surgeries over the years to get my mouth back to where it needed to be. And then, I mean, I had things like a couple facial bones broken, ribs broken. I'll be, I I never really, I think I never kept an eye on it when I was younger. I think part of it was I was afraid that if people saw I was hurt and went, oh, what
Yes.
happened to you? How do you say, oh, I went face first on the floor, I had a seizure, or I collapsed in the middle of a seizure and broke my ribs?
Well, my doctor at my hospital has told me that for every foot tall you are, you're falling 10 miles an hour to the floor.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm just over 6 foot, so that's 60 miles an hour right down. And you can't put a hand out to save yourself. So it's face first.
Yeah. I
And
never
not only
realized it was
so,
that fault. I didn't realize, I never thought of it as that fast. Now it makes sense, the injuries I sustained, why they did happen. Wow.
so I don't like me. Less favorite ones is definitely the drop attacks because those you can feel everything, every single thing you can feel. But my favorite is the grand mal seizures because I'm completely unconscious. It doesn't matter what you've done, and you're that tired afterwards, you don't really care.
Yeah. And I find it interesting that you brought that up because, I've had people talk to me about different types of seizures. And I never thought I would say having a grand mal seizure would be my favorite. But looking at how my seizures have changed over the years, I I don't like acknowledging it, but I agree with you on that because okay, I didn't feel well. I had a migraine. I laid down, went to sleep, woke up in recovery. I don't know what happened. I didn't have to remember anything. I just went to rest. And that night, my mother or my grandparents, someone was there, made sure I was comfortable, went home. I was in the hospital for a couple of days. That was the end of it. It really started scaring me when I started having the complex partials because at times I don't remember those either. I would go into status and stay in a state of unconsciousness. But at the same time, what scared me was people thought I was drunk or they thought I was high. And I really got scared of, oh my goodness, if I have something like this in public, is someone going to hurt me? Am I going to get hurt or killed because somebody doesn't realize I'm having a seizure?
I've had
And
somebody walk up and kick me in the chest while I was on the floor,
oh,
and I
what?
wouldn't mind. They had a bottle of beer in the hand as well at the time,
Oh my gosh. Did they
but
get
like I say,
arrested?
no, because there was nobody else around,
Oh
and
my
they
God.
and they didn't understand anyway what was going on.
Oh my gosh.
So we just walked past at that point. But as I say, that's in one of my other books as well.
Oh, that's awful. I mean, the one that I can say that scared me the most was I had when I had my first simple partial, it was earlier this year, and I had COVID and got a bacterial infection on top of the COVID, and my brain fog got so bad I couldn't remember how to write. And thankfully, I got through to the state COVID team. The doctor realized what was going on and he saved my life by giving me the antibiotics I needed. But as I was recovering from the infection, and I mean, my brain, I didn't realize at the time how swollen my brain had gotten from the infection. I could feel the pressure from the swelling decreasing and coming down. And when I had the simple partial seizure while healing, I was sitting in my kitchen table in the chair, and all of a sudden, from the waist down, I couldn't feel anything. And it felt like my torso was detaching and slowly coming up over the kitchen table. And I just sat there frozen. And my husband says, are you all right? I said, well, I'm here, but I'm not here. And he goes, it makes no sense. I said, I know I'm here with you. I know what's going on. I know I'm sitting at the kitchen table. I go, but I can't feel myself sitting in the chair. I'm like, I can't feel that part of my body's gone. I'm floating, I'm leaving. And it lasted only 30 to 60 seconds. But I admit when it finished, I was clearly frightened. I sat there and thought, what in the world was that all about? I mean, it just, and it doesn't sound like something much, but to know that something surreal like that is going on within your body, you've lost control of your body in that way, and every little bit of it, it is much more frightening than, okay, you have a grand mal and then just recover from it.
Definitely by the sound of it, yes.
Yeah, I had never had anything like that in all the years I've been battling epilepsy till this January. And I have to say, of probably all the seizures I had, that one really scared me the most. I can say I was clearly frightened just, and the only time that happened, the only time I ever got more scared than that, I was in a Zoom meeting, and it was within days of having that one. I was meeting with my interns, and I felt it happening, and I had a whiteout for about 5 seconds. I went blind, and it took everything in me not to go into a panic in front of my interns. And thankfully, once I got myself together again, I started talking, and the only thing was my one intern went, "Well, you just said that." I said, "I did." She goes, "Yeah." And she's kind of looking at me, she's like, "Okay." And I realized it had happened. And when I spoke to them later and I apologized, I said, "I'm sorry I came off. This is what happened." Thankfully, they were very supportive, and they're like, "Well, don't worry about it. As long as you're okay, that's all that matters." But, I think people don't realize that all different levels, all different types of seizures, all different types of epilepsy impact all of us in a different way. And it can be a very frightening condition to live with.
Definitely. Well, I've recently started having grand mal seizures while I'm asleep of a night.
Oh, wow.
And of course, I don't know anything about that until I wake up in the morning and I'm covered in blood because I always bite into the side of my tongue.
Oh, and they can't give you, they can't do a mouth guard or anything, can they, with
No,
that? It's too high risk.
yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But as I say, it's just another thing I have to live with. I don't ever put myself down because that just invites depression.
Oh, absolutely. And I have found getting things like, I have depression, PTSD. I find if I allow myself to go down that path to let it get to me, it's even harder to deal with that than it is the epilepsy.
Definitely. That's why I just thought I'd write all about my life with epilepsy and try and help as many people as possible to not get depressed, and also they might have a good laugh with their life with epilepsy and just enjoy their journey more. Because at the end of the day, it's nobody else's fault. Nobody's given them epilepsy. I see mine as God's given me something to live with, and it's a challenge to see how I can live with my life with epilepsy.
That's how I look at it too. It's like it's a challenge that's been given to me rather than let it take over my life. Just accept that it's there and just live with it.
Live with it,
While
yes.
living with it, living my life to the fullest while it's there. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our supporters today?
Just to enjoy your life to as much and as you possibly can, and just carry on and keep going.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice. That is all we have for today. Again, I want to thank Gavin for coming and taking part. To see the great work we are doing, please like our social media pages and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We invite you to visit our website at www.defeatingepilepsy.org to see how we are making a difference in the epilepsy community. Thank you for your support, and together we will defeat epilepsy. Take care.